Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the JockTalk podcast. Matt, along with Brock. Brock, how are we doing today?
Can't complain, I guess, too much.
Yeah. Probably looks a little bit different since the last time our podcast is going on. Brock, semi-cleanly shaven.
Oh, yeah, I shaved a little last week-ish. I think it was Tuesday. It's already coming back a little bit.
I had to get rid of it after the Packers
debacle.
To say decent or disappointing loss to the Falcons, but we'll recap that. We'll hit on our Super Bowl predictions and much more. We're going to start off with our trivia question, Brock.
Oh, yeah, of course. Our trivia question of the week is a Packers record question. So here we go. This might hurt a little bit when you hear this. How many of Mason Crosby's first 258 point-after attempts did he miss?
How many of Mason Crosby's first 258 point-after kicks did he miss?
Was it A, 6, B,
6,
4,
B, 4,
3, or C, 3,
3,
or D, 2?
6, 4, 3, or 2?
We'll find out at the end of the show, and we'll even find out Mr. Carlos how he feels about that question we have there. So, where do we want to start with this? We start with a little recap of that Packers-Falcons game, since we didn't have a show last week.
You know, I don't even think that we need to recap that game as a whole. I think that the season recap, I think that last week's game, in a nutshell, is the Packers' season.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The injuries definitely, finally, really played a part. It looked exactly like what we saw when we were 4-6.
Yep.
I think what I saw out of that game was tired legs, lack of confidence. Just after those first 3 drives where Atlanta just drove down the field with ease, it was just they look exhausted. It looked like they gave everything that they had in that Dallas game. And
the way the Packers' first 3 drives ended didn't have anything at all either. I mean, you have the missed field goal, you have the fumble, and then I think just a short possession on the third one, if I remember correctly. But the one thing that changed last week that had been good all season, I think, is the protection from Aaron Rodgers. We talked about it we talked about it last time, but the last time the Falcons played the Packers, they were getting after Aaron Rodgers with 3 or 4 guys only. And you hear this, the recipe to success is get to Aaron Rodgers without blitzing. The Falcons did that a lot.
Yeah, they definitely did. They have Atlanta, you got to give them credit on defense and offense. I mean, defensively, like you said, they pressured Aaron Rodgers, made him throw tight slots that he might not have been comfortable throwing. He forced early throws like that.
Big drops.
Yeah, they had a really young defense, and they have a bright future ahead of them. Definitely, you got Vic Beasley on the end. They had a couple of their corners made some big plays on the wide receivers, like you said, drops, and then of course, you look at the offense, Matt Bryan and Julio Jones and company. They just destroyed the Packers. And it was hard to watch, especially coming off a big emotional win in Dallas.
Absolutely.
But overall, you look at this season, of course, it ends in disappointment. And do you consider this season a failure?
That's what the first thing I have written down, I have the Packers, when you look at this season as a whole, I consider it a disappointing season. From one standpoint, you look at going into the season, the Packers were Super Bowl contenders, if not favorites, coming out of the NFC, and to start 4-6 and have to wait until the last game of the season to make the playoffs, not having having one home game, and not getting to the Super Bowl. Yes, it's a disappointment when you look at going into or midway through the season with the amount of injuries. Um, Still, just barely making the playoffs, I consider it a disappointment.
But is it a failure?
I think any season the Packers don't get to the Super Bowl is a failure.
Yeah, it was a failed season, but in other perspective of it, we started off 4-6 and we rattled off 8 straight wins, which is good to see from a injury plagued team and they overcame all the obstacles that have championship pedigrees. Like former seasons, we see a lot of these teams that make the Super Bowl overcome all these injuries and all this. So I feel like it could make them a better team or have better players down the road.
Yeah, the
but
other reason, you hit on a little bit the development. You see it like more in baseball or basketball, but the development of players didn't happen this year. You look at
Jeff Janis,
Devontae Adams. Yeah, he had a great season, but we expect that out of him. Last year was more of a letdown.
Yeah,
he redeemed himself this year, but you look at the young cornerbacks didn't take a step forward. You look at the young defensive line.
They look good for some of the season. They look really good, right. And then the other half of the season it was terrible.
Yeah, the young players, we didn't really see them step forward much.
Yeah, it was just the inconsistent play of the young players, like you said. Kenny Clark, Blake Martinez wasn't as big as a factor as we would have hoped, but he did play well in spurts. Same with a bunch of our other young linebackers. Jake Ryan had a good year. Yes. It was he progressed very well. I think he will continue to get better. So that's another thing. But I mean, then you look at the veterans that disappointed. I would say Clay Matthews had a disappointing season. Julius Peppers
with injuries. I mean, if I told you that the Packers would, if Clay Matthews gets back to prime condition next year, if he sits out the rest of the games, but the Packers don't make the playoffs and don't make this run, do you take it? If you got 2010 Clay Matthews, but the Packers missed the playoffs, do you take it? Looking forward to next year.
If we can get him back and get that like mentality of him back instead of him just running around flopping all over the place trying to get a hold instead of just making a play, yeah, sure.
I mean, he's playing with a torn labrum, basically torn shoulder muscles. I mean, I agree. When I'm just looking at tape, the biggest thing that bothers me, and I think you might probably agree with this, is a lack of hustle.
Yeah.
Matthews, that's what he was known for coming out of college, is high motor, doesn't give up.
It wasn't there.
And I think that's a lot with a lot of the team. I mean, you see a lot of it out of young guys because they have to prove themselves. Clay Matthews doesn't have to prove himself anymore. He is.
I think he still does. I still think he does.
Packer. He has to prove himself for the contract. But I mean, with him playing hurt, I think him sucking it up and playing with a torn muscle in his shoulder makes up for his lack of hustle.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, we expect more. I mean, if you're hurt, well, as much as we don't want to see you hurt, sit out. Like, we'll get it right. We have the young, but our defensive line was young, so get them more reps and get them ready and heal. I mean, we want. I know a lot of Packer fans would like to have Clay Matthews for most of the rest of his career, at least we would hope. But I mean, if he can't produce when he's 100%, that's one thing we need.
I'm not sure that we've seen him 100% in a while, though. I think the biggest thing for me is if he can't stay healthy.
I think it just seems like it's every year, though. Like the last 2 or 3 years, he's little injuries nag throughout the whole year.
And I mean, you got to think no, it's not his fault that he's getting hurt, but when it comes down to NFL as a business, and if you can't stay healthy, then you can't perform, then you don't deserve to be on the team. You got to take better care of your body. And I know a lot of people have been saying that the Packers need their strength and conditioning needs they need a better coach, whether if that's to blame with all the injuries or what have you. But definitely injuries a big factor. You look at the beginning part of the season, Sam Shields.
Didn't play after what, week 3 or 4?
Week 1.
Week 1.
I think he went out week 1 and hasn't played since. And then you have Jared Cook missed a decent amount of the first. He missed 6 weeks with an ankle injury.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, you look at it, there's a couple of Packers who stayed healthy all of the season, which is nice to see. Mike Daniels, I still think, is one of the better interior linemen in all of the league. Aaron stayed healthy for the most part. He had a couple of games that hobbled him. Obviously, you have Jordy Nelson staying healthy
until the end.
Until the playoff run. But then you have Randall Cobb that missed a couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive line stayed healthy for the most part, which was
huge.
Nice to see.
Yeah. I think the future's bright, but we have a big off season coming up. We have a lot of restricted free agents, a lot of free agents that we might not keep. I went through a list. I don't remember all the names that are on there, but I believe T.J. Lang is on that list.
Yep. T.J. Lang, Eddie Lacy, Julius Peppers.
Yeah.
There's a decent amount that are on that list, and I know it's been a big thing coming from Packers fans the last couple of years is the disappointment in Ted Thompson not going after free agents. But when they do go after free agents, it normally works out for them. I mean, you look at Charles Woodson, Julius Peppers, but Nick Perry's a free agent, Dayton Jones is a free agent, Jared Cook, Don Barclay, J.C. Treader, Micah Hyde, all free agents. Now, out of those, a lot of them are just kind of role players stepping in when needed, but that comes to be a big factor for the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, out of those, I don't think we'll keep. Honestly, I don't think we will keep Julius Peppers as much as.
I think he goes back to Carolina for 1 year and then retires.
I definitely agree with you there. I think that's the big thing that. I think that's what he needs to do. His career, I would say, is over.
He played really well earlier in the season when he didn't have to play down after down after down. He's gonna go somewhere. Maybe it's not Atlanta, but he's gonna have a Dwight Freeney effect. Look at Dwight Freeney and what he did for the development of Vic Beasley in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's gonna go somewhere. He's gonna rush on third downs, and he's gonna help a young pass rusher.
Yeah, I mean,
get better.
We have a lot of questions, especially on the offensive side, mostly at running back. I mean, yeah, we saw Ty Montgomery is making the switch to running back and changing his number. But will that be enough? We have, like you said, Eddie Lacy is a free agent. Christian,
not coming back.
I wouldn't write it off yet, but I would say it's a 6% chance he's not coming back.
Yeah, I think that the running backs in the draft, there are a lot of good running backs in the draft, and Ty Montgomery, he's going to be the Packers starter at running back next season. There's no doubt in my mind about it. But you look at, there's a couple guys in the draft. Joe Mixon out of Oklahoma who had some character issues, but then Alvin Kamara out of Tennessee, running backs that the Packers could target in 3rd to 5th rounds.
Yeah, I mean, you could also look at Juju Smith out of USC, maybe, depending how far he falls.
He reminds me of a Ty Montgomery guy who's primarily a wide receiver, but can take snaps out of the backfield like a Randall Cobb.
Yeah. Well, if we drafted a running back, do you want a power or a speed back?
Speed, no question.
You think the speed?
They haven't had one since I've been alive.
True. I mean, you could argue Amon Green was the fastest one.
Yeah. I mean, the fastest one, maybe Ryan Grant, but
by
no means a speed back.
No, Ryan Grant was a fumbler.
Yeah. I mean, you look at it, the Packers, like you said, they haven't had a
speed
back, a third down back, like a Dexter McCluster, Danny Woodhead, Darren Sproles.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know they're not going to get him, but Dalvin Cook is going to be a good running back in the league. I think he will have a better year than Leonard Fournette next year. I have a feeling.
I think it depends on where they.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you put Leonard Fournette with Carolina, like a lot of experts are predicting, I mean, is that a good fit for Leonard Fournette?
I
Or
think absolutely it is.
I
I think you
I
you
think
can't.
I think Carolina would be. I wouldn't say they're dumb for taking Fournette because obviously Fournette's an animal, and I think any team would be good with him. But I think the need is not at running back for Carolina.
I mean, you look at it. I mean, you could say cornerback, defensive back.
Yeah,
They gave up
O
a lot
line.
of big plays, but I think when you have a guy like a Dalvin Cook or a Leonard Fournette, and you look at what Ezekiel Elliott did for the Cowboys. The
Yeah,
Cowboys had big needs. A lot of places people said, I mean, they had the second best record in the entire league, and
they needed a running back though,
Dak Prescott wouldn't be Dak Prescott
without the O
without
line
Ezekiel Elliott.
and without the
And
O line.
right,
I mean,
but
speaking of O line, I mean, we talked about some of the free agents, but we got, like you said, Don Barclay, T.J. Lang, J.C. Treader. So we have three linemen that hopefully won't be on their way out, but I mean, they're free agents, and you always have that little sense that, oh no, maybe he won't be back. But I think the way the Packers are built, I think we at least bring two of them back. I think T.J. Lang stays for sure, and I think it's
I think
tough.
J.C. Treader comes back as he's going to be a decently paid backup.
Yeah,
Lang's going to be one of the highest paid linemen in the league.
I think you have to. I
The
think
Packers, if they draft anything well for the most part, I think receivers and offensive line. Jason Spriggs played well when he had to come in limited duties. So I think if he has to fill in and either be a starter or one of those guys who can back someone up or be an injury replacement backup,
yeah,
it's good to
definitely,
have.
and definitely. Overall, this season, it looked bleak at 4-6. I will say that. So I mean, as a Packer fan, we made the playoffs. We won it. We beat the. I would argue. You can argue that the Cowboys were the favorite to go to the Super Bowl, if not win the Super Bowl. So knocking them off was a big accomplishment for this like injury plagued and just beaten up Packer team, and it gave us hope that we were like, oh, we actually can make the Super Bowl. Like, but we ran into a hot steamrolling offense in Atlanta, which give them a lot of credit. That offense over there is incredible. So hats off to Atlanta. Let's switch it over to AFC side. The Patriots are in a Super Bowl again. You look at that Steelers Patriots game. I did not watch a lot of the game because I was just so
out of it.
Yeah, and I just looked at it as this like
heartbroken.
All of the above, and it's hard to say this because I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm not a Tom Brady supporter, Patriots supporter. I don't like them necessarily, but they know how to win in so many different ways with so many different players that you have never heard of. And it's just amazing how well Tom Brady makes everyone around him. You can hate him. You can love him. Tom Brady is the LeBron James of the league, pretty much. I mean, everyone loves to hate him, but he gives you you know what you're getting from him game in and game out. So
season after season,
this is going to be a Super Bowl. I would say one of the better Super Bowls in recent years. I will say. I don't think anybody's going to watch.
Two ways. I think both ways. When you look at it, I could picture either team blowing the other out.
Oh,
I can
definitely.
imagine Atlanta just running up the points, but I can imagine New England just playing typical New England and shutting out Atlanta for the most part and doing like 24-7.
Yeah,
But
for some reason,
I mean,
we've seen number one offenses just struggle in the Super Bowl. We seen that year after year. They hit the Super Bowl and they sputter.
yeah,
So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because these defenses are underrated, to say the least. They have very good playmakers. Outside guys make plays. The D line, the big nasties, are really underrated and play very hard. So I wouldn't be surprised to watch this be like a very boring 17-14 game. Like, I wouldn't be surprised by that. Anything out of this game is possible. Like, you could say blow out one way, blow out the other way. You could say it's a
high
three.
scoring both ways.
Yeah, you could
Low
say
scoring.
it could be 42-40.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Because we have seen the last few years just defensive, like, dominance. Like,
Yeah.
Denver last year was just dominant over the Panthers. The year before that was Seahawks Patriots, wasn't it? And defense won. Year before that was Seahawks destroyed Denver. So I mean, it's defense the last 3 years. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see the just offenses go back and forth, up and down the field.
Yeah. Now we have a couple of other things. I know I tweeted about it, but from the sounds of things, defensive coordinator Dom Capers sounds from all reports that he's going to be back next year. He's basically getting a pass because of the amount of injuries that they suffered, but I think to say the least, he's on a short leash. I mean, you look at certain players that there were a lot of injuries, but player development, a lot of that's on him. Putting them in the right scheme, a lot of that's on him.
Yeah.
You say you don't have the players, but you don't have the players. So okay, why do you leave Ladarius Gunter on an island until the NFC Championship game?
Yeah, on Des Bryant, he had
on Odell Beckham Jr. Yes, he didn't have a good game, but that's not the point.
Yeah, I mean, he had to go up against three of the top tier receivers in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You got Odell, and you got Dez, and then you got Julio. You'd arguably say Julio's probably the best of three. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is also a factor with injuries. I don't think you need to write them off. I mean, it looked like a lot of the plays, I know I tweeted early in the season, that it looks like the players don't know where they're going. Like, one player's playing zone, the other player's playing man. There's no help over the top.
Yes, the players should probably know what they're supposed to do, but you got to put that on the coaches too. If they don't know, and week after week, nothing's changing, nothing is improving. You see it from other teams who go through the same thing. They develop players throughout the year or improvement later in the year, but the Packers, the opposite. During the Packers was a 4-game losing streak. They gave up all those points when the Packers were winning those games. It's not like they were playing stellar defense. They were still giving up a ton of yards.
Yeah.
But,
I think it could be bright or it could be bleak. We just need. You could also argue that Quentin Rollins and Demarius Randall hit that sophomore slump. Like, we've seen a lot of times happen. But we hope that's what it is. As a fan of the Green Bay Packers, you hope that was just a bad year, and next year they come back and play like their rookie year or even better, because they both had a very good rookie year.
For as good as their rookie year was, this year was the opposite. This year was worse than their rookie year was good. And I
by
know
far.
We tweeted about it, we talked about it. They need to bring in a veteran. We had Charles Woodson. Sam Shields is a veteran, but he can't stay healthy, and he can't keep the blunts out of his hand when the cops are at his doors. I know I tweeted, send a 4th-round pick to the Jets, get Darrelle Revis, put him at safety, teach the young guys how to play corner. Darrelle Revis, when healthy, the shutdown corner of our generation. Richard Sherman, nah.
I mean, yeah, I would like to see him try some safety. Ain't gonna lie, just to try it out, just see. Like if it doesn't work, he can play. He can play corner still.
Yeah,
We just need.
yeah, but I think just bring him in just like Chuck, veteran, height, decently paid veteran, and
the only thing with Chuck was a playmaker all across the field. He could go sideline to sideline, and he still had his wheels.
Darrelle Revis at safety.
He doesn't have the wheels like Chuck had.
Agreed. I think the vision is there to be a ball hawking safety. He's been a ball hawking shutdown corner for the majority of his career. But I know another guy we both like is Joe Hayden. Probably have to give up a little bit more to go after him. But the guy I wouldn't mind having a number 23 Joe Hayden jersey.
He'd have to, him and Demarius Randall might have to work out a deal for that one then.
Deal with it. Cut him if he doesn't want to give up his number.
I don't know if I'd do that, but yeah, I definitely agree. They do need a veteran presence in the secondary. I mean, Haha has become a leader, but he's not a veteran. He hasn't seen everything yet.
Yep.
And I think Joe Hayden, I mean, plays on the Browns. So, I mean, they don't get a lot of attention.
The Browns have the most ex-players on Super Bowl teams this year than any other team in the league. Deion Lewis, ex-Brown. Mohamed Sanu, I believe. Nope, ex-Bengal.
No, he was a Bengal.
And he's Mack, ex-Brown.
Yeah.
So
Taylor Gabriel, ex-Brown. Chris Hogan.
Jabal Sheard for the Patriots. I mean, bring in Joe Hayden, bring in Joey Thomas, bring him back to Wisconsin.
Joe Thomas in Wisconsin would be, I think the Wisconsin fan base would just draw right to even more of the Packers. It'd be amazing if Joe Thomas, or you could argue that if we drafted TJ Watt this year, how huge like day one jerseys for TJ Watt would be.
You know, I went through and I did my 7-round Packers mock draft. I didn't go through and do the whole thing, but the players I want the Packers to pick in every round. TJ Watt in round 1. Chidobe.
You really think he's the first? You think he's round 1?
Absolutely. TJ Watt round 1.
You would spend a first round on him.
Absolutely, because of the players who are at other positions. Chidobe Awuzie is a cornerback out of Colorado, physical cornerback. He's about 6 foot, 200 pounds, but not scared to hit the pile to go run up and make a tackle. He's a great guy in coverage. Alvin Kamara round 3, the back that can receive out of the backfield. Bring in Vince Beagle round 4. Get KD Cannon out of Baylor round 5. Round 6 and 7, I didn't get quite that far, but I mean that addresses every need the Packers could have.
Yeah.
Edge rusher, shutdown corner, running back, extra wide receiver. I mean,
I don't know if the wide receiver. I mean, it all depends on free agency. If we can bring in another guy like
Alshon Jeffrey has been a big talking point.
I don't want.
Him. I mean, you're gonna have to overpay him. And when some of your own guys are up for contract, you're not gonna be able to pay them. But
yeah, I don't want.
Talking point.
Yeah, I think there's. I wouldn't say better receivers, but
there are. I mean, maybe not free agency this year, but there's guys who you can get a better value.
Quality. Yeah, exactly. Quality, value, everything that fit our needs more. Because I mean, you still got George, you still got Devontae and Randall.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 3 receivers. You're just looking maybe for the 4th. You're looking for a 4th, 5th guy. So I mean, you don't have to give up a lot. You don't have to look for a lot. So I mean, you could address. Like you could argue that Geronimo is your 4.
Yep.
He reminds me of a young Donald Driver. I think he could develop into one if he can stay out of the Mary Jane too. But I guess that's to be seen. But all right, we talked about the Packers a little more, or enough. I think we need to move on to NFL season real quick as a whole. What was your big takeaways and like thoughts on the year as a whole? Any disappointments or
A couple things.
surprises?
Yeah, I mean the Cardinals. I didn't have them. I had them making the playoffs barely. I had them in as a wild card. Definitely a disappointment. But a couple things for me. Uh, Teams need to fork up for their big free agents and how big of an impact injuries played. You look at the Carolina Panthers. They didn't fork up for Josh Norman. They missed him a ton. And then, like we said, injuries, injuries, injuries. You look at how many big names got injured throughout the season from the first week to last week. David Johnson went down in one of the last weeks. Rob Gronkowski missed most of the season. Luke Kuechly missed a decent amount of the season for the Seahawks. Cam Chancellor and then Earl Thomas both missing a couple of games throughout the season. Obviously, with the Packers, Jared Cook was a big one, and then Sam Shields was a big one. But that, and then I know I just said teams need to pay their free agents, but I'm not sure what to think about paying, especially quarterbacks with very little experience. You look at, I mean, Brock Osweiler basically is the reason someone's going to do it for Jimmy Garoppolo this coming off season. Either they're going to give up a really high draft pick for him, or they're going to give up something for him. I'm not sure that that's a good idea.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you just said. I mean, injuries across the league once again plagued star players, and it's year in year out for that. But I would say, we predicted that wide receivers would break some records this year. We've seen a lot of great numbers. I think wide receivers are becoming a must need in the NFL now. You need that one deep threat. You need that one speedster just to spread the field. Like you had that.
Unless your team plays in New England and goes by the Patriots.
Yeah, and it can throw to 17 different players and they all score.
Yeah.
But anyways, like I would say one of the best. I wouldn't say best, but trio of receivers that you thought was going to be good was the one up in New York with Odell, Sterling Shepard, and Victor Cruz. At the beginning of the season, the first few games, definitely thought they would be, but they have this guy called Eli Manning who decides he can't throw half the season. He can only put up like 19 points against the Saints defense or whatever it was.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think it's becoming, you need a big three. It's just like the NBA. You need a big three on offense, and I think you need a big three on defense. Also, you need that pass rusher. You need that guy in the middle, linebacker, like calling the shots, and then you need that guy in the secondary, either it be a corner or a safety.
Yeah.
And you could argue big three. Like you need quarterback and at least two receivers. Or you could be like the Steelers and have that running back like Le'Veon Bell, who is an absolute animal. I think he is the top running back in the league right now by far. I think what he does is incredible. Just it doesn't look pretty like some of the runners, but his patience in the hole, his burst of speed, he breaks tackles, relatively takes care of the ball pretty well. He does a little bit of everything. He fits that Steelers offense, and yeah. I think he's going to be fun to watch for years and years to come.
Let's get this before we move on to our Super Bowl predictions. Your two biggest stories from the year in the NFL. I'll go first, so I know it's on the spot. I'll give you some time to think. For me, number one, it's a specific player. Eric Berry came back from his cancer treatment. One of my favorite defensive players in the NFL. Wouldn't mind seeing him in the green and gold, but don't think that's going to happen.
I would love to see that. I think everybody, all Green Packer fans.
The second thing for me is relocation. San Diego now moving to LA. The Rams obviously moved to LA, and then the Chargers filing for relocation to go to Vegas. I think one of, if not the biggest story in the NFL this season is the relocation. We haven't seen a lot of it over the course of the last 10 years or so. We had the Texans who came in. I guess they've been in the league about almost 15, 16 years now.
Something like that.
But other than that, I think that those are my two biggest headlines if I had to choose.
I mean, yeah, you definitely hit on two of the biggest. This one came at the end of the year, mostly just because of his name. You might have an idea. Johnny Manziel is making a comeback. I think just because of his name and what he did in college and all the expectations for him and all the headlines he has with his drinking and all this other stuff. And he finally said he's going to make a comeback. Quick thoughts on that. Just quick thoughts. Like, what do you think? Do you take it seriously?
Yeah,
you are?
No, I think he's done.
You think he's done?
He's going to try. I think he's going to stay. I think he can stay sober, but I think he's done.
I think there is a couple teams that will take a chance on him. I don't think it'll work out. He might play a couple games and then just be like, just because someone got hurt. Maybe Chicago takes a chance on him.
I don't see it.
They need somebody. If they need to sell tickets. I'll tell you that. And I'm sure Johnny will sell tickets. And I think some of the Bears fans would.
As an NFL franchise, you can't risk a marketing opportunity on a washed-up alcoholic quarterback. But I'm a fan.
But I mean, you could say the same thing about Tebow, but you could bring Tebow in, and everyone's going to come to your practice just to see him.
Good publicity. Johnny Manziel. I mean, they
True.
say any publicity is good publicity, but not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see.
Who would you rather have to start a franchise? If you had only those two guys, Johnny Manziel or Tim Tebow?
I think we need to tweet that out at the end of the show, because that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I would honestly take Tim Tebow.
Who do you take? Tim Tebow or Manziel?
Johnny Manziel.
Takes Manziel. Johnny Manzieloni.
It's a tough one because
I take Johnny Manziel for the simple fact that he's more accurate and just as athletic. Maybe he's not as big, not as strong as Tim Tebow, but they can both run the same style of offense and don't have to worry about Tim Tebow's baseball windup.
See, I just love Tim Tebow's heart and passion for the game. So I think that just automatically takes could take a team to a whole dynamic. I mean, he won a playoff game, did he not?
He did.
Okay.
He did.
It was a clutch throw. It was his best throw of his career, and it was on a dime.
Yeah, I mean, don't get Skip Bayless started.
Yeah, but that's just me. I would take Tim Tebow just because I think his passion for the game is a little more real than Johnny Manziel's.
Yeah. All right, Super Bowl predictions, Brock. Give me one key to the game, your score prediction, and your MVP. Key to the game.
Key to the game, pressure on quarterbacks. Whoever pressures the quarterback better wins that game, I feel like. I feel like it's cut and dry, but I think that's just how it has to be. Because both these offenses are so potent, it just has to be that way.
Score. Putting you on the spot.
31-24. Yep.
No winner, just a score?
God.
Come on the record.
Patriots. It's tough. It really is.
MVP.
I think it's going to be Tom Brady.
Tommy B.
Yeah, God. That was the regret in my voice is real. But I think it's going to be real. But who knows? Yeah, I think, like we already talked about, it's going to be one hell of a game no matter what happens.
Key to the game is the Patriots' ability to run the football, whether if it's with LeGarrette Blount, Deion Lewis, James White.
Tom Brady.
Run the ball, they win.
I could see
Tom Brady on his 4th and 1 sneaks, 3rd and 1 sneaks. probably the best of all time. Even though he's one of the most unathletic quarterbacks I've seen in a very long time.
Outside of Peyton Manning.
Yeah, that's my key to the game is the Patriots' ability to run the ball. If they can run the ball, they win. Score of the game is 27-24. I had that. I had the score picked before I had who won, so pretty close. 27-24. Falcons win. Super Bowl MVP Deion Jones, linebacker for Atlanta. I think he has at least one interception and another, maybe a sack or two. But I think he has a pick six off of Tom Brady. Arguably the defensive rookie of the year. Deion Jones.
Yeah, your call is the beginning of the year. It's funny that you brought you picked the Falcons because what if New England can run the ball then?
If New England can run the ball, then I think it's going to be more along the lines of like 31-13.
Oh wow, that bad?
Yeah, I think if the Patriots can run the ball, it's not even a close game. Say they have time of possession, and it doesn't get the ball back, and it's those methodical drives where maybe it's only a field goal here, or maybe it's a touchdown there, but I think they keep the ball away from Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean,
make it a field possession game.
I mean, you look back at the game against it was Patriots Texans. You looked at it. Texans were in that game. They just can't score. They couldn't score.
Until the second half.
They couldn't score. I mean, if they would have put on points on the board when they got a couple big interceptions, big turnovers, and put points on the board and had that lead going into the second half, I mean, it was a whole different ball game. It forces
your boy Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, he sucks. Anyways, I think that's all we got in the NFL for today.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk. Hang on, quick little thing on NFL. Let's talk about the Pro Bowl. Like not the game, but the skills challenge. What?
One thing that stuck out to me.
What was that?
Just one thing. How easy Odell Beckham Jr. makes it look to make one-handed catches. You saw Mike Evans struggle.
Yeah. T.Y. Hilton.
T.Y. Hilton struggle.
Jarvis Landry made him look good, too.
Yes.
He won.
The LSU boys.
Yeah.
That's my main takeaway is how easy he makes it. He is, I know Le'Veon Bell said he was the Steph Curry of the NFL or whatever that quote was. With Odell Beckham's pregame, I don't want to call him antics, it has a negative sound to it, but his pregame shows similar to Steph Curry's shooting it from the tunnel.
Yeah. Well, that's your one takeaway, but did you enjoy it as a whole?
From the little bit I got to watch, yes.
I mean, you can go on YouTube and watch the whole thing. That's what I did. That's how I watched it.
And the main reason why I enjoyed it, more football.
Yeah.
I could have been throwing to little kids for 6 hours, and I still would have watched it because it's more football, and it's getting me by until preseason, until the NFL draft.
Yeah.
So, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I watched most of it. I mean, the dodgeball was a little weird, but I mean, it was something different to watch, and the competition just between all the players is just unreal. And like, there are actually a lot of friendly guys there with their helmets off. But I think one of the coolest thing was the drone drop. I don't know if you got to see that. They took it.
I didn't see much of it.
I mean, it was cool. It was definitely that. It takes probably a lot more skill to do that than you would expect. You're like, oh, I can do that, and then you see that ball, and you're just like,
a knuckleball coming out of the sky.
Yeah, out of 150 feet. Yeah, I'll pass on that. Going 50 miles an hour. Yeah, that's pretty hard. But I'm glad the NFL brought that back. It was like the QB challenges and all that stuff. I mean, it was fun to watch. It was, like you said, more football competition, just individual competition. And I think it was a good thing for the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we're going to move on to the NBA, and then we're going to get to the Brewers possibly at the end. But let's start off with I mean, we talked about the NFL's All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the NBA. Let me get your reactions to the players who got snubbed, who didn't deserve to be in there, who deserved it, in terms of some younger guys, and what are your expectations
I mean,
from it?
the expectations aren't very high because it's the All-Star game and there's no defense being played. But I think everybody and their mother knows that Russell Westbrook had to be a starter. It's ridiculous how he's not a starter. I don't care if you hate him. He averaged a triple-double. For the first,
me, it's easy. Who out of the three who were there, who doesn't deserve to be a starter? I mean, people made it seem like a hard question, but for me, it's easy. Who doesn't deserve to be a starter?
I would agree. Let's see if you pick the same.
Steph Curry.
I would agree with you there because of
between Steph, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook.
Yeah,
that's easy for me.
Yeah, definitely. But mine was Jimmy Butler. I mean,
out of just the 3-point guards for
3-point
West. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Then, yeah, I don't think he deserved it. That's where the fans' vote got in, and I personally think the fans shouldn't be able to vote or have that big of impact on the vote.
I think the only reason he didn't get in because the tiebreaker went to Steph Curry over and James Harden over him. I think that it needs to be the players need to be the tiebreaker.
Yeah, but I mean, then you heard all the speculation out of that is I don't know if you heard, but
them not taking it seriously.
Yeah, JaVale McGee getting 5 votes for being a starter. Bryce Johnson, who hasn't played a game for the Clippers, is on there. Like out of the 320 players that voted, LeBron only got voted 150 times. Kevin Durant got 127. Like what? Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's ridiculous, and it just.
So out of all the guys, Jimmy Butler is the guy who you think deserved least to be on the team?
I mean, I think he should be on a team, but I don't think he should be starting. I think Isaiah Thomas is definitely should be a starter over him because, I mean, you don't have a point guard or you don't have a center on either team. So I would easily put my starting 5 would be Giannis, Isaiah Thomas, LeBron, DeMar, and Kyrie. You could easily have those 5.
I think you could. I think you could easily replace either Kyrie or DeMar with Kyle Lowry.
That too. I mean,
from a deserving and a best lineup standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, and you even look at even the reserves. I don't think Paul Millsap really had that great of a season.
Deserved it more.
Oh yeah, definitely.
No, that's why there's the one guy on either side who is not an all-star to me is Draymond Green is not an all-star.
No, that again
is the benefit of the situation.
That again is the fans voting, and that's what it is. I mean, it's kind of who would you have instead of Draymond on that team?
3 guys.
No, just one. You're only eliminating one. You can't take 3. You have to take one because I know who mine would be. I know who mine would be, and I think if you don't say his name, I'm going to be very disappointed in you.
I'm gonna say my 3 guys. But I'll decide on one.
No, you're not. No, you pick one.
Rudy Gobert.
No.
Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, Damian Lillard. I think Karl Anthony Towns deserves it.
Yeah, I think he does. I don't think Draymond Green was anywhere near productive as Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns is a star. He is the franchise, and he played like
the best player. I mean, all 3 of those guys I listed are the best player on their team. Draymond Green is the 4th best player on this team.
You don't think Gordon Hayward's better than Rudy Gobert? I would put. I'm not a big Rudy Gobert fan. I really not.
I think that it's harder to be a star or an all-star as a big guy, just because it's not the sexy position.
I mean, you could.
But in the East,
you could also.
Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I think he.
Process.
I think he really needed to be up there. I think he. We both called it. I think everybody knew that when.
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, when Simmons went out, it was just. Embiid's to lose, but you could also argue that does Klay Thompson really deserve a All-Star spot? He played good, and he had that one big game that everyone talks about. And after that, I mean, it's been pedestrian at best. Yeah. I mean, you could easily throw Damian Lillard in there. I think he is.
Yeah.
He was averaging for a good portion of the year, 30-some points. He was a leading scorer for a while.
Yeah, I think in the East it's easy. I think Joel Embiid should have gotten in over Paul Millsap.
Yeah.
You mentioned that. And in the West it's a little bit harder, but one of those three guys needed to have been in over Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't happen.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, they have the lineup set, which I know a lot of turmoil and all this is going through because of who everybody picked. But out of the players here, who is your MVP of that game? Because there's no defense going to be played. So who do you think's MVP?
Who is going to be the MVP of the All-Star game?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be one of the Warriors.
I don't. I think they're going to play keep away. I think Russell Westbrook's going to be there and be like, psych, nope, nope.
The only reason why I picked one of them is I can imagine any of the three actual All-Stars for the Warriors chucking the ball up 34 times from three and scoring 90 points. I mean, maybe exaggerating a little bit, but I can imagine Steph, KD, or Klay Thompson shooting the ball 15 times and making...
All right, here's my player of the game. Just because I know how he plays in big game or just mess around games like the All-Star game. I think Paul George. I think he does, and he will pull.
I mean, last year.
Yeah, I think he'll come off the bench and just rain. He doesn't even care. Nobody cares. No one's playing defense. I think he has one of the best ranges, being 6'9". I think he plays on the Pacers. He doesn't get a lot of publicity. Ever since he broke his leg, he hasn't been exactly the same, but I think he is one of the most underrated players in the league and on the All-Star game.
Giannis,
you want to see him do good.
To gain.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He has the most to gain out of it. I mean, being on a national stage, I think the Bucks have played on ESPN once this year, and he was the player of the game in that game, even in a loss. So I think he has the most to gain. The only reason I'm not picking, he doesn't have a jump shot quite yet. He's got a mid-range, but not shooting from three. But I think you're going to see him. Dunk from the free throw line in the game.
I would not be surprised by that, and that's probably not even on a breakaway.
Yeah, but I mean, enough with the All-Star game. Headlines and rumors from the NBA season so far. I mean, lately it's been a lot. I mean, you have the Bulls drama with Rajon Rondo, Dwayne Wade, Jimmy Butler, all calling each other out, almost not directly, but
it was no
indirectly on Instagram. You have Enes Kanter breaking his arm from punching a chair. You have the Melo rumors going to basically everybody: the Clips, the Cavs, the Celtics, even a Bucks rumor for Derrick Rose and Carmelo, for Chris Middleton. Miles Plumlee and John Henson and Tony Snell.
No, that'd be the dumbest move the Bucks could ever make.
So I mean, when you look at that, there's been a lot of rumors. I mean, you have LeBron calling out the front office. The Cavs already making the trade for Kyle Korver. It's been a busy last couple of weeks, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you touched on pretty much everything. Yeah, I mean, I think some of the players just need to suck it up and be like, all right, play with my team that I have, or if you're gonna trade me, trade me.
Yeah.
End of story. Just get it over with. It's time to go, or let's just play basketball.
Now, I agree. Out of all the teams, all the players who've been rumored to be being traded, if you're from two standpoints, if you're Carmelo Anthony, where do you want to go? If you're another team, which team would benefit the most from him? Factoring in who you would have to give up to acquire him.
I mean, I don't know if I would trade him because I don't think his worth is he doesn't have the pedigree, doesn't have the championships, and ultimately that's what you're trying to get is a championship.
But you not well. Okay, I'll let you finish.
Honestly, and knowing Melo and seeing everything that he's personally not knowing Melo, but seeing what Melo likes and wants, and he wants money, he wants spotlight. So I think the best thing to do is either, if he's not going there, go to LA, either be the Lakers or be the Clippers. Does either team need him? No. Would they lose a lot to get him? Yeah. So pretty much everybody who wants him, it has to give something up that's pretty big. I just don't think I don't think he's worth it.
I guess I disagree. Not from is he worth it, but as a what is he looking for at this point in his career? I don't think he cares. I mean, he cares about the money. He's not going to make $5 million.
No, he does.
A year, but I think he cares more about getting a ring than he cares about being the main guy.
Well, no matter where he's going to go, he's not winning a ring.
I mean, if I'm a team, maybe if I'm the Clippers, do I do it? Maybe. I mean, rumor has they want Jamal Crawford and Austin Rivers, so your bench goes down a lot. Doesn't really make sense with the Clippers rotation though, with having Blake, Carmelo, and DeAndre Jordan, two guys who don't play a lot of defense. But if I'm a team, I think Toronto, a team that plays good defense, who could use another scorer. I think he would be. That's the thing for me. Toronto, Boston, somewhere where you play really, really good defense. You just need another scorer.
True.
I think is the big thing for me. If I'm Melo, I want to go to either the Cavs or the Clippers. Because those are the two teams who have the best shot at getting a ring for him this year.
Yeah, I don't think the Cavs will make it, or I don't think they'll make that trade.
Well, the Cavs have already, rumor has it, they declined a straight-up Carmelo for Kevin Love, and the Cavs said no.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
If I'm the Cavs, I make that trade.
I wouldn't.
You know.
You already don't have a big man.
What is that going to hurt then? I think Carmelo's
even more rebound. I think Kevin Love's a better rebounder. They need a better rebounder than they need a scorer. They need a playmaker, like LeBron said, but
Carmelo is not a playmaker.
He's a ball hog.
He wouldn't be if he's playing with LeBron and Kyrie. He's not going to be handling the ball.
I just disagree. Don't. I just don't think that. I don't think that fits well. I don't think he needs another star. I don't. You're playing with fire, just like you're playing with fire, just like Golden State teaming up like that. Yeah. So if you want to be like them, go ahead.
I think ultimately he stays put or goes to the Clippers. I think the Clippers are. I know I picked the Clippers to go to the finals before the season, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would do it if I'm them. But I think he either stays put or he goes to the Clippers.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I think the chances of him staying are more likely than not.
Yeah, and I think the reasoning is, I think the Knicks are gonna be asking too much for him.
Yeah.
I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, definitely agree. We are running out of time, but looks like we're not going to be able to get to the Brewers today. But we will definitely, we have plenty of news on them for our next show. So anything else you want to add on the NBA or NFL that we maybe did not touch on?
Everything I have in my notes, the only thing we didn't hit on is the amount of coaching changes in the NFL. I think there were a lot of decent hires. Vance Joseph. I mean, you look at the amount of minorities hired as NFL head coach. I think there were more this season than like the last 4 off seasons combined. So that's nice to see. And hopefully the Packers fire Dom Capers.
Yeah. Well, we can only hope.
Yes. Anything from you other than the trivia?
I don't have anything. I think we touched on mostly everything. I think we probably wanted to go into NBA a little more, probably in the season, like Russell Westbrook with all the triple doubles and James Harden. James Harden with all the triple doubles, 50-point triple doubles.
Yes.
So I mean, all right. Before we end, who's your midseason MVP?
Who is my midseason MVP? It's between one or two guys, and
you got to pick one. You can't be doing this bullshit.
Who is my midseason MVP? Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Between him and James Harden, but James Harden has more to work with around him, so it's Russell Westbrook for me.
I mean, everybody says you got to win. So you could easily argue that James Harden has more wins. Are they in the playoffs? Are they not in the playoffs? So if Russell Westbrook at the end of the season is in the playoffs, I think if he's in or not, I think he should be, as long as he keeps up the triple-double, because, I mean, you got James Harden and LeBron right on his tail. I think it's a three-headed race, I think. I don't think anybody from the Warriors should even be in the conversation because they all score on different nights. They don't average it. I think Russell Westbrook, James Harden, LeBron is the three.
I think it's a two-headed race with LeBron a decent amount. I think he's down quite a bit. As much as we both love him,
I think he's still there. I think he's in the breath right behind James Harden.
1A and 1B, and then you have like 3.
Well, you could even throw Giannis up there.
With how bad the Bucks have been struggling lately.
I mean, Thunder aren't much better, so.
The Bucks are four games under 500 and out of the playoffs as of right now, I believe. I think the Thunder are still in as of now, but remains to be seen how the season turns out. Obviously.
Yep. All right, now at that part of the show, at the end of the show, where we do our answer for the trivia question of the week. This week, it hurts to say it because we called him Money Mason Crosby. And then he goes and misses a field goal to start the game. And it went downhill from there. So we focus our attention on Mason Crosby this week in our trivia question of the day. How many of Mason Crosby's first 258 point-after attempts did he miss? A, 6, B, 4, C, 3, or D, 2?
I'm gonna go with 2. D is my final answer.
What about all Carlos back there?
What was your answer, Dad? 6.
6. Well, we have a winner. It is D, 2. Mason Crosby hit 99.22% at the start of the 2012 season. So, Matt, congratulations on getting the trivia question right. Hopefully you did at home. We had fun.
I'm not sure if you can see me or not, but I just dabbed on you about 6 times.
I saw movement. So, yeah, get it. Oh, shit. You're going to have a dab off with Riley Curry.
John Lynch, breaking news, hired as the 49ers GM. I don't know if that's former Tampa Bay Buccaneers safety John Lynch, but
we'll see. I mean, that's breaking news from Carlos back there.
Yeah.
So, hats off to him with the up-to-minute report back there.
That's right.
We had a fun show this week, kind of. I mean, we had to talk about the Packers and the end of the season and all that, but overall, I think we had fun on the show. I hope you did as well. Next week we'll be back, or next show we'll be back. Who knows if it's next week, but with our conflicting schedules and as much as we're busy. But next week I'm sure we'll hit a little more on Brewers, probably more NBA, recap probably the Super Bowl, and all that for you. So tune in next week. Follow us on Twitter at JockTalk WI.NC. I think we're a good follow. I mean, we're pretty fun.
Dog in the screen now.
We're pretty entertaining on Twitter. We like to have.
Oh, she dies.
We have good conversations with a bunch of our followers. We did not have a follower of the week this week because somebody Forgot to
slacking a little bit.
Forgot to look that up, but we might tweet that out to our follower of the week. It might not be on the show. You might not be mentioned in the show, but we will tweet you out. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Share us with your friends. Like us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook.
Grandmas love us.
Yeah, everybody loves us. Come on now.
That's right.
Like us on Facebook. The link is in our bio on Twitter. So go in there, click on that. Go to our page, like it. Say what's up. I mean, I think we're a good follow, and we dab now. Apparently, if we dab, we lose. So I don't know if you want to dab anymore, because we're not losers.
Nope.
Dab is
winners.
Winner, chicken dinner. All right. Signing off here at JockTalk. I think Matt's getting a little delirious dabbing, so don't want to embarrass him too much more. So thank you guys for watching again. See you guys next time.